Hello, everybody. Alan Zlotorzynski, 321 Sportscast, and I hope everybody is safe and healthy as we approach what is the second week here with coronavirus. So I hope you and yours are safe and healthy. I must admit that practicing social distancing and all of the things that we are being asked to do, I really hope it's working out for our community. But let me say this, from a selfish standpoint, doing so and taking this opportunity to get to meet some athletic directors and coaches I've never really had an opportunity to sit down and talk with is what I'm doing. And this gentleman here to my left today is one of the coaches that was first and foremost on my mind when I came up with this idea to do this. He is in his just finished his fourth year with the Astronaut War Eagles. 60 wins in 4 years for the Astronaut War Eagles. Two-time FACA coach, District 12 Coach of the Year. Is that correct? Yeah,
yes,
yeah, back-to-back. Done amazing things in a short period of time with the War Eagles. He is Kyle Gilreath. Kyle, first of all, welcome.
Appreciate it.
Through the 3-2
today.
Thanks for the jersey, man. I love the jersey. More swag for the set. We really appreciate that. Let's start by talking about this past year. Another 20-win season for your team, led by junior Jace Carter. But you had a deep squad this year. Talk about your team a little bit.
Yeah, I would say Jace gets a lot of the credit just from his ability to score. But, I mean, really, I think of our senior group, Daquan Joe, Jaden Dollard, and then you have Ryan Farner come off the bench, Christian Oldnettle, our point guard. You know, he had a phenomenal year, 2 years on JV, and then last year kind of came in a little bit. And just, I think – heading into the season, we had an okay summer. You know, we had a lot of fun, but I wasn't sure where we would be. And honestly, I asked our guys, like, hey, do you think we can get to Elite Eight? Think we can get 22 wins? They're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know. So just a tremendous group of guys that worked extremely hard, very selfless. And to give them the credit, I mean, a lot of guys sometimes maybe get jealous of the attention Jace gets, but they get it. I mean, you know, when you're the leading scorer and quote-unquote best player in the team and possibly the county, they got it, and they knew that in order for us to be a good team, he had to play well. He had to get shots. And then, you know, he also had to defend along with everyone else. And, you know, it was just a really, really, really fun year. And at the end of the day, the last game, I was talking to him. I started tearing up and said, like, I'm not sad because we lost. I'm sad, like, you four. I had a couple of guys that I'd coached for the last 4 years on varsity, like, and the other senior group, like, I'm going to miss you guys and just having you on the floor. And it was a special year, you know, best year in the last 40 years at our school. You know, last time they went to Elite Eight was when Wilbur Marshall was there. So, I mean, before I was even born, so it was kind of cool.
I don't feel old. No, it was a spectacular season. And, you know, it's funny because Caleb and I and a couple other people, you know, we put these polls together. We go through. We have our own point system that we set up for these rankings. And it was like the first time we saw Astronaut play, we were like, this is the best team in the county, hands down. And we really felt like that because I think we were 2.5 weeks into the season when we finally came to see you guys play. And we had seen pretty much everybody else in terms of who was supposed to be the top tier teams in this county. But I really like the way – take, for example, a Christian Oldnettle. It's like the Energizer Bunny out there on the floor. He just does not stop. And then the way Kyle is able to, you know, hit that clutch three-point shot when you need it. I really felt like that your team, and especially as games went on, you don't find it a lot where teams get stronger as games go on. But I like that about your team.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, you know, I really encourage guys to be multi-sport athletes, and 3 of our starting 5 with Jaden, Kyle, and Twiz, Daquan, they all played football. So typically in teams in the past, when I was at Fort Myers and other schools, it would take till about January to kind of get those guys back in the mix. But
right.
This year, it happened earlier. Once Kyle got into his groove, kind of shooting the ball and kind of pulled him outside a little more, I mean, that was just a huge addition to something we'd been missing for, you know, last year or so, having another shooter with his size on the floor.
The impressive thing, and you are like a lot of the coaches in this county, very humble, don't like to talk about, you know, your success and yourself. But I think the thing that really fascinates me about you is being a student of the game the way that you are, the way that you dissect the game. The first year you take this program over, you're 3-23. But I think you got to know at that point that's immediately the next year you win 15 games and then 20 and then 20 plus and then 20 plus this year. Take us through the decision because, and I'm gonna ask you about being a graduate assistant under Billy Donovan at the University of Florida, what you learned there. But take us through the decision to take this job.
Well, it's kind of a long process, not a long process, but I think about 6 years ago, I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit.
Sure.
The Viera job opened up, and I was like, man, like my dream has been to get back and coach with my dad at some point in my life. I want him on my bench, and that didn't work out. But I'm a believer in things happen for a reason. I trusted kind of God's plan for us. And then at the end of the season, was that I guess 5 years ago, Miss Miller texted me and said, hey, our job's open. Are you interested? I was like, got on max preps. I was like 2-23, 1-24. I was like, well, they can't get any worse. So
right.
I asked my wife and I said, hey, do you, because we live in Fort Myers where she's from with her mom, and I said, hey, do you want to move to Titusville? And she said, why? And I told her, and she was like, yeah, let's do it. So fortunate enough, got an interview at Astronaut, and then all kind of went from there. And it was, me being the, I guess, non-humble knowledge that I think I have on the game of basketball. We'll win 10, 12 games this year. We can figure this out. We've got some guys that can play basketball, and first inter-squad scrimmage, I'm like, we're not going to be that bad. And then the game started, and we had a good year. I think we lost like 12 games by 7 points or less. So we were in a lot of games. But when you have guys that aren't used to winning and don't know how to win, and I was also starting 4 freshmen every game that would probably be on the JV team in a lot of places. But
you knew you had something you could build.
Yeah, for sure. That was after about the first, probably middle of the summer, halfway through June, end of June, and probably into our first 4 games of the year. Kind of sat my dad and said, hey, these 4 freshmen that's our future. So I'm going to ride them and let's get them better because you're going to be varsity guys the next 3-4 years. And I told him that. I said, look, like we're going to take our lumps. It's going to be better next year. And I guarantee you the last 2 years, like we're going to be really, really, really good. So stay with it. Stay confident. Like just keep growing, keep getting better. And they trusted that, which credit to them because a lot of guys had, in today's climate, would just bounce off to another school.
Right.
And that's what I love about that group so much. I don't want to leave out Lewis Arnold because he wasn't able to play this year.
Right.
His age thing. But those guys stuck with it, stuck to Astronaut, loyal to me, loyal to the school, the program, the community. And that says a lot about them as individuals. And that's the part I'm going to miss the most, having those guys around.
Yeah, it's almost like, this is your first class. So,
yep.
And that makes, complete sense as to why to be attached that way. This gentleman here, and let's talk about Larry Gilreath because one of my favorite pictures, and I'm going to pull it up, and I think I love that picture, but here we're going to get to it here in a second. But tell me about, and this is going to sound like such an obvious question. What does he mean to you?
I call him literally every single day.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? Nothing. Doing yard work, doing this, doing that, just to talk to him. He's my, outside of my wife, he's my best friend. I talk to him probably more than my wife sometimes. Every morning during the season, going to school, I call him. Hey, what do you think? What should we do? And he, I think I don't want to give his age, but he's getting up there. He's pretty old.
Right.
And he watched so much film this year. He would give me so much stuff. I'm like, listen, our guys don't need that much. He's like, I know. But just the amount of games he watched. Like, we're getting ready for Tampa Catholic, and I think he watched. I sent him like 9 game films, and he watched all of them. I watched probably half of them, and then he'd give me every day a different scouting report. And but more so than basketball part, just knowing that I have someone I love in my corner, has my back, and it's a lot of fun to coach with them.
It's a unique situation, and as we're finding it here, the picture's up on the screen for the viewers at home that they can see it. But it is the picture that appeared in the Florida Today in this article here, where he's standing right behind you, and you're coaching, and he's right there, and he's looking at you. Just a great picture. As you go back and you look through this county, and I think this county is unique, and you fall into this classification because I've lived in a couple of different cities and covered sports throughout this country, and rare is it that so many coaches that played in a particular area come home to coach again. You just don't see it, but you see it in every sport here. What is it? Is it because, Dad was here? What is it that drew you, that wanted you? Was it the project in you? You had to get back here?
A little bit of both. I think seeing how, it's pretty easy to take over a really good team and keep winning. I would say not easy, but it's easier to, hey, we have good players, we have a foundation, like you kind of build on that, but to kind of go somewhere and kind of just create from bottom up. So the first floor, people are like, hey, you're building the foundation. I'm like, no, we're leveling the ground. Like, we're getting the trees down. Like, we're getting the soil ready. But I think just the opportunity to coach my dad was probably the biggest thing. Come back home and help out a community that, essentially raised me, supported me as a player when I was in high school. I would say those are the two biggest reasons, and having my family around my children, it was a huge part too.
Let's talk about that, because the thing that I think that is very unique about you is the family man. I love that you're a man of faith. I love the fact that you are a family man through and through. Tell us a little bit about your family.
I basically couldn't do what I do without my wife. She is the dad. She is the mom. She is everything. Probably the majority of the year, because when I'm not coaching, I've got other basketball stuff going on. I'm not there a lot, but without her, I honestly, people say all the time, I could not coach basketball. And then, my kids bring so much joy to me, and I try to get them around, me, the game as much as possible. Just like, hey, I've been home for like 5 nights. You want to come to the game with me? And my daughter Kinsley came to a game one night with my wife. She rode the bus with us at Tampa Catholic.
That's awesome.
Just trying to build on memories with them. And then I think, as tragic as it was with the death of Kobe and Gigi and all those other individuals, that was kind of eye-opening of like how special it is to have kids around in sports and a family. And that really kind of got to my heart a lot, to get them more involved and just have them be around the program a lot more, because like I said, without them, I could not do what I do, and to have their support and my wife's support is just truly incredible.
Now, I'm going to ask, because I see, I've seen some pictures of you and your wife at the. Did you meet your wife at Florida?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's a great segue. Well, before we get to that, let me ask you about, you had mentioned Kobe and how it affected you as a guy where basketball has been your life. Mm-hmm. Where were you when you heard the news?
I was in my car at the Rolex 24-hour race, sitting in traffic.
Gotcha.
Waiting to leave the track to come home. And Dale Mays, who used to coach football in this area at Titusville High School, texted me and said, hey, Kobe died. I was like, no way. Like, he's invincible. It ain't going to happen. No. So I jumped on Twitter, because that's the fastest news source, and it's like you just start seeing it. And I called my wife, and she's like, hey, did you hear? And it was, to be so emotionally bothered or hurt by someone you've never met before.
Right.
A lot of my friends in my job, Pure Sweat, have met him and worked out with him last summer with Jason Tatum. So I've kind of got a miniature behind-the-scenes look at him as a person. But his motivational tactics and how his mindset really motivated me a lot. And it was... I don't know.
It's tragic.
I've never cried over the loss of someone I've never met before, so it was kind of weird.
I know what you mean. It happened to me back in the 2000s, and I became a huge fan of NASCAR, and the biggest reason I did was because I had an opportunity to meet Dale Earnhardt, and then he died.
Yep.
And and I actually moved to a little town just outside of Mooresville. I was scheduled to move there a couple of months ahead of time, but after I understand what you're saying when you say you get emotional over a guy that you didn't know and he passes on. Yeah, it was a crazy and unbelievable situation with Kobe Bryant, and obviously a legacy that will live on. Let's talk about your days at Florida under Billy Donovan, because Florida has had some success since Billy left, but nothing like they had when he was there.
Right.
You're a graduate assistant there. Obviously, the amount of success that Billy had there, he went back-to-back national. When were you there?
I got there in the fall of 2004, and I was there the next 5 seasons.
Gotcha.
So, first year was an NIT run, or not NIT run, sorry. We lost in the second round to Louisville. Then the second 2 years were national championship years, and then NIT back-to-back.
That had to be an amazing experience.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was winning the rings and, cutting the nets down was pretty cool. But to me, we had the reunion, or when Coach Donovan had the floor named after him about a month ago. We all went up there, a lot of the managers, sports staff, a lot of the players, and just the relationships that were built and maintained to this day. That was the best part of. I've got a little group chat of a couple friends. Some are like front office guys in the NBA, and others a lawyer in Jacksonville, and we text every single day. And to me, that's really cool. Like, we have the memories. You can watch the games on TV, but the memories in practice and just all the things that happen on the road trips that's the stuff that I cherish the most.
Brotherhood.
Yep.
A brotherhood. Tell me a little bit. Tell us something about Billy. What'd you learn from him?
Oh man, he's an incredible coach. Obviously, I would say the two things are he's an incredible person. It's hard when you're wrapped up in Division I basketball at that level to really be. I think a lot of guys aren't as authentic, or they just all they want to do is win. The type of person that he is, and caring and loving, and to everyone, staff members, players, fans. I mean, he's just an amazing person that honestly it's hard to put words into. Basketball-wise, I would say the first month I was there, they're going. So he stops practice, and he's like, hey, when this happened, you were there. This happened, and this happened. And then, I'm like, oh, my God, these guys are like, how did you see that? It's like, so I asked one of the other GAs at the time, I said, hey, did you see that? He goes, yeah. How? It's like slow motion. He said, wait a couple years and it'll happen. It was like, just learning how to watch the game and practice, and that's really what I learned from him a lot, basketball-wise.
Do you think if he had it all over to do again, he would have made the same decision?
To go to Oklahoma City?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to probably answer that. I would say he's very happy where he's at.
That's good.
I haven't asked him that. I don't think it's probably fair to ask him that.
Sure.
I think for any coach to have an opportunity to coach the NBA is probably a dream. And, this is not his words, but kind of my opinion of the politics in college basketball, as we saw the FBI stuff last year. I think if you're in it, that can get old after a while.
Sure.
Especially when you're a true man of just playing by the rules, essentially.
Yep.
So I would say, just talking to people that are in the organization that I know, he's very, very happy.
That's good.
So hopefully he can stay there and
I often wonder. Yeah, I often wonder that about him, because he always, not having had an opportunity to have ever met him, he just seemed like a very likable guy that was just very genuine. Even when the media dealt with him, he was very forthright. And so, yeah, I just always wondered if that was something that he would do again. But hindsight's 20/20, and if he's happy, then I think everybody should be happy for him. That's exactly how I feel about it. So, did you get rings?
I did.
Where are they?
They are
kind of locked up. You just kind of
sort of, yeah.
You ever wear them?
No, they're too big.
No, are they really?
Your hands get separated, and we got rings, we got everything. They treat us just like players.
That is absolutely awesome to have a couple of championship rings back to back. Of the two back to back of those two championships, what are some memories? And I know that the games were the tournaments were great. But what did you take away from winning those championships?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously a lot of the memories from just our first year. We went from unranked to being the 2 seed to, like, we go to Jacksonville and win those 2 games. We go to Minneapolis, and we're down to Georgetown. I think it was Georgetown. And Corey Brewer had a crazy shot to, like, put us ahead.
Right.
Just, like, those memories are amazing. I would say probably the one funny story is when we're in Minneapolis. So I got multiple nicknames when I was at Florida. And my last couple of years, so my first year, I dressed up as Waldo for Halloween.
Okay.
So by year 3 or 4, a lot of coaches or the players called me Waldo. So, like, new guys would come in, and they thought my name was legit Waldo. So then my second year, we were playing Georgetown. I did a lot of the scout team stuff. I mean, I was on the court a lot for that, and I was Roy Hibbert. And
gotcha.
Somehow, like, one of the shoot-arounds, Coach Donovan was like, "Hey, who are you? Like, what player on the team?" Like, "I'm Hibbert." He said, "What?" I said, "Hibbert." Because he didn't hear me.
Right.
So from that point on, I became Hibbert.
So, you go from Waldo to Hibbert.
So my last 2 years, they're like, "Is his name Waldo Hibbert?" Like, who would name their kid that? So, fast forward to the Final Four the second year, we're at a championship dinner with all 4 teams, all the players, coaches, and there's a buffet line. And Joe, Kim, and Al were like, "Hey, go get a picture with Hibbert. Like, you have to." So here I am, like, "Hey, man," it's kind of awkward, right? Like, we're playing each other.
Right.
Like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" So I got a picture on Facebook, and I actually signed one, gave it to Coach Donovan of me and Roy Hibbert. So,
gotcha.
And then fast forward to this, last month we're in Gainesville.
That's good.
And I walk in, and Jeremy Foley, Coach Donovan, they're like, "Hibby." It's like,
You're still Hibbert.
Hopefully they know what my real name is. I think they do, but that's probably the thing that most of the NBA guys like call me Hibbert, Hibby. It's just kind of a weird story, but I don't know, it's kind of cool.
What a great honor to have the court named after him. Knowing Billy, he had to love that.
Oh, I mean, he's a very, very humble person.
Yeah.
He saw the videos where the first time he saw it, he kind of teared up, and just the community of Gainesville meant so much to him and his family because helped raise his children. I think was just a tremendous honor for him, and I think it's very, very, very due. They should have the whole building for his name on it, in my opinion. But,
no, I agree.
Him, and so he was just excited to be there, and obviously he understood that having his name on the court was, he kind of was the driver of the car, but it wouldn't have been happening without the players, the administration, support staff, the community itself. So he really tried to make sure those people got their recognition as well.
We're here with Kyle Gilreath. He just finished his 4th season with the Astronaut War Eagles and made the deepest run of any Brevard County boys basketball team in the FHSAA state tournament. He is the back-to-back FACA District 12 Coach of the Year. Tell us a couple of things about you that we may not know. We were talking before about, your love for the game of basketball, but tell us a couple of things about you we may not know.
Ooh.
That you want to tell us.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So I enjoy fishing.
Do you?
But I really don't get out much because I don't have a boat. So if any guys are watching that charter captains and want to take me fishing when this whole thing calms down, let me know.
We got a couple charter captains that we do some business with, so we'll make some calls.
I'm kind of my brother and my dad have turned me in kind of a sports car racing nerd.
Yeah.
I grew up a NASCAR guy, and a couple years ago I went to the Rolex race, and I was like, man, you're more in it.
Did you like Ford versus Ferrari?
I haven't seen it yet.
I'm telling you. You're going to love the movie because I wasn't a Rolex guy until I saw Ford versus Ferrari, and I watched it just before the Rolex race. Now, I couldn't get up to do it. I was going to try to get credentials to get up, but I just didn't get it done in time. But I'm going next year. That movie, I've seen that movie 3 times already.
Right.
It is absolutely amazing. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So that's probably those 2 things, and then I don't know. I would say
Pure Elite? Tell us about that.
So Pure Sweat is
Pure Sweat. Pure Sweat.
The last, I don't know, 7-8 years, I work for a company called Pure Sweat Basketball. It's a basketball training company. We do a lot of online education for players, coaches. We have a training app, which is really cool. Actually, a lot of my guys are using it right now because I can't be with them, so they can turn on their phone. And they do a 30-minute workout at home on their driveway, ball handling, shooting. So I work for them in addition to teaching, in addition to coaching.
What do you teach?
So I do ESC support.
Got you.
ESC sport teacher. So at Pure Sweat, I do a lot of the graphic design, digital media, marketing, event management, kind of pretty much. If you follow Pure Sweat, a lot of that, my hands are on it. So
we're going to have to check it out. And there it is on the screen right there, the information on the screen right there. All right, so a couple of away from Astronaut, away from family life. Let's talk basketball in general a little bit here. Brevard County basketball specifically. As a guy that grew up in this county watching Brevard County boys basketball, what do you think the state of boys basketball is in Brevard County, right? What is your opinion as a whole?
I would say it's kind of up and down, as it probably is in a lot of sports. It's, as I mentioned earlier, with the climate of high school sports in general, with a lot of guys moving around. We have a lot of great coaches, a lot of young coaches in the county. I think we're a big football county. We're a big football state. And I would say there needs to be more. I talked to a friend of mine. He said there's two types of players in the world, or, on your team. He said you have basketball players and you have guys who play basketball.
I like that.
Selfishly, I wish I had more basketball players. It's hard in today's age of there's so many other things kids can do. Like, I love phones, I love technology, but I think kids don't know truly how to work. And it's kind of hurting all sports in general, to be honest.
Is there too much AAU?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of bad AAU. I think there's a lot of guys that want to get exposure, but they end up getting exposed.
Right.
I've told a lot of guys, hey,
I like that.
Like, you need to get better. I said, like, you can't even play on a varsity team, and you're playing AAU basketball. Like, how are you going to be recruited when you're on the JV team? Like, no one wants a JV point guard on their Division II, Division III team. So I think there's a lot of very, very good AAU programs that help kids through. That's the nature of the game now. The college coaches, it's easier to go. And so I did AAU for a year with CB25, the team Jason's playing with now, just see what it was about. And, for a college coach, if you go to a high school game, you'll see one kid, right? If you go to an AAU event over a weekend, you're going to see hundreds. You can maybe see all the kids you're recruiting. So I think it makes sense. I could see basketball going more of that route in the future, unfortunately, for high schools. But I think financially, it's for colleges, it's easier to go watch AAU games. And
no, you're absolutely right.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and even a couple of the local coaches, a lot of times they, local college coaches, they, talk to them. Coach Mims, Coach Schulman spend a lot of time at the AAU games and camps over the summer. That's when they can go and do it. In this age of technology, as you alluded to, with phones and iPads and all that good stuff, helicopter parenting has become something, it's, I deal with it in the media, because of covering high school sports, parents. How do you deal with it?
I've been pretty lucky. I have a really great group of supportive parents. Obviously, you can't have a good program without parent involvement. So I encourage it. We have we do pregame meals for all of our home games for our JV and varsity team. So obviously, parents bring the food in, they cook the food, so having them involved. I want the parents at the game. So I think to shun parents out and say, like, I don't want to deal with parents, I think is the wrong message. I think it's creating a program and culture of trust that everything that I do and our staff does and our program does is in the best interest of the student and the athlete. And we have a meeting at the beginning of every year. Basically all the parents or parent guardians and the players come to this meeting. And we have a covenant. So it's not a contract. So I learned that contracts are built off mistrust and lies. Covenants are based on promises. So we have a covenant. I go through, these are our standards. This is what we expect. if you don't abide by these, they're going to be the result. And if you don't like it, I understand. We'll agree to disagree, and your son can move on. So and I'm try to be a very open book with that. I understand I'm not perfect. The kids aren't perfect. We're all going to make mistakes. But I think just trying to create a relationship of, if there's a problem, we'll talk about it. If you disagree with playing time, I'm not talking about it. That's a subjective thing. But, pretty much if a parent has an issue and wants to talk to me, we're going to do it in person, and their son's got to be there. Because I don't think it's fair for, a parent may think that, their son's not getting enough shots or they're not playing enough but the kid may have no problem. Like, I'm good, kind of come off the bench, so I want them both there. So there's a clear understanding and explanation of why what is happening, and
you may end up being the mediator.
Yeah, sometimes. That hasn't happened yet, but so I think parents are super, super important. I mean, they're with their kids a lot, and during the basketball season, we're kind of sub-parenting because we're with them so much. So I just I think the more parent involvement the right way with trust and respect, that's really what makes our program function as well as it does.
Couple more for Kyle Gilreath before we wrap up here. What do we need to, I guess, as I watch Max Preps become more involved with a lot of what high school sports has to do and the power rankings and, I'm not out there to say there's a better way, but I guess my point is that, what do we need to do to try to make Brevard County basketball better? What can we do to make it better? Because this is a question I threw out on Facebook, and this question came up to me on, I call it Black Thursday, because there were 7 Brevard County teams that went into the postseason, and when we woke up Friday morning, your team was the only team standing.
Right.
1-6. What do we need to do differently?
I think probably the biggest lack in our county, and that's probably statewide, but nationwide, is, and it kind of goes to the AAU thing a little bit, not to take a negative feed on that, but there's not enough true skill development where players learn how to play the game.
Yes.
I think there's not enough time. They think showing up to practice at 3:30, going home at 5:30, I'm good. But they don't understand, pretty much 3 days a week, Jason's in the gym at 6 o'clock shooting before school. Goes home, showers, comes back. So, same with Kyle Smith, some other guys too. So I think there's just not enough skill development. I think guys, because we're such a football area, athleticism is very, very important, but that doesn't necessarily win you a lot of games.
When I tell you this stat, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It's probably the same answer, and it very well could be. Free throw shooting as a whole in boys basketball this year in the county was 58%. What does that tell you?
Just guys don't know how to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've worked with a lot of guys on helping kind of improve the efficiency of their shots. And it's just amazing if you watch a game, even with my team, there's some guys that are graduating that I've tried, but they just weren't really interested in spending the extra time. I said, that's fine.
Yeah.
When you shoot 30, 20%, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So, if you don't want to work at it, we're going to be as good as that. And I'm not going to make you come in. So, even with Jace, we're still trying to get his shot right. I would say guys just don't know how to shoot. I think they learn with a big ball on a big goal when they're little, so they develop bad habits, and they just, with me and my job, I'm pretty fortunate to work with Drew Hamlin, who works with a lot of NBA guys with Pure Sweat, and I feel like I've learned pretty much everything in terms of how to make guys, how to fix, how to correct, how to improve shot efficiency without going crazy. And they're just, to me, most guys don't know how to shoot. And that's the answer.
And that is really the only answer. And I've seen it all year long. And that's not a knock. That's, because I'm a guy that says numbers don't lie, especially when you're looking at 19 teams.
Yeah, and it takes, I've done it 2 or 3 times with multiple guys. Like their shot was like, they're way over here, and it takes about 3 months of literally not touching a basketball unless they're with me 5 days a week to get a shot to be completely changed. And that's shooting an hour a day, 5 days a week without playing pickup. And it takes a lot of work, and guys don't want to put that much work in.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
I would say that's one area I wish would improve more, not just for my team. I would love to play every team in the county be a competitive game.
I'd love to hear that answer, and I tell you what, I'd love to see it myself because, as we broadcast these, I don't want to see any running clocks,
right.
And neither do the people watching at home, and neither do our advertisers. But final question for you. What's the future hold for Kyle Gilreath? You seem like a very focused, goal-oriented man. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Ooh, well, hopefully we all beat this coronavirus. And
Right.
I'm still here in like 10 months. I don't know. I'm going to kind of trust God and where He wants me to be. I would love to be an astronaut and kind of have a legacy there, like Coach Hostetler does. Win several hundred games there, and hopefully hang some more banners. But like every coach in the world, you have dreams. I have dreams, but I'm going to kind of trust his path for me, because obviously I know you can dream big, but that means you're not home as much. And to me, it's got to be, in order to leave Astronaut, it's got to be a perfect situation. And I don't see very many of those out there. So hopefully in 10 years, I'm an astronaut still doing what I'm doing and get my name on the court like Coach Donovan.
I certainly think that that opportunity is there, because when you look at just 4 years ago, three wins, 57 wins in just 3 seasons for Kyle Gilreath. And then you add the 3 on, 60 total in 4. But it's the 57 and 3 that let you know that this guy right here has a great opportunity, not just to hang one banner, but several at that gym. By the way, I love broadcasting in that gymnasium.
Yeah,
I just
special.
love the way it is.
Obviously, I'm biased, but to me, that is my favorite gym.
Me too.
I wish they would go back to opening the balconies. Like when my dad coached, they'd open those up. But obviously for security reasons,
sure,
you
can't do it, right?
But I love our gym. It's so much fun.
I lied. I got one more for you. Cheryl Schivel.
Yep.
Tell me about her. She's awesome.
She's great. Very, very sportive. Probably the best part about her is she's kind of you're a big boy, figure it out.
Right.
There's not a lot of micromanaging. She trusts her coaches and kind of lets us, as long as we're doing it the right way, which hopefully we are, majority of the time, she just, very, very sportive. If we have an issue with a parent, we explain it to her, and she trusts us that we're going to handle it the right way, and rarely intervenes in issues unless it's really, really needed. So she's tremendous, spends a lot of time at the games. At softball, baseball, soccer, basketball. Just when we played at Tampa, she went to Washington State to visit her daughter, and she was torn. She couldn't be at her game. So just kind of tells you kind of the person that she is. Just loves our athletes, loves our school, and just, she's been a big part of the success of kind of allowing us to do what we do and trusting us to do it the right way.
Kyle Gilreath, Astronaut War Eagles, a brotherhood of a basketball team, and big things are coming for the War Eagles. Kyle, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
For coming in during these trying times. Good luck to you and your family. Stay healthy, stay safe. God bless. For Kyle Gilreath, I'm Alan Zlotorzynski for 321 Sportscast.